Having just gotten off work late at night, I unexpectedly got caught up in a car accident. The police took me back to the station and pulled up my file, revealing a surprised expression. Graduated from a prestigious school. Why are you wearing a factory uniform? The name was mine. But the photo was a familiar yet unfamiliar face. It turns out I didn't fail the college entrance exam, someone else took my place. I drifted back home in a daze. It's okay. I won't let her find out. You've already completed your studies. And besides, she's accepted her life as it is now. The voice of my husband, Su Shiai's, came from the study. So he had a hand in this too. I stormed in angrily to confront him, but he pushed me off the high-rise building. I'm sorry, Xiaoyu. This is what I owed Xiao Xiao. If only I could do it all over again. Suddenly opening my eyes, I gasped for fresh air, my internal organs still aching faintly. Xiaoyu, Xiaoyu, the homeroom teacher is here. The person beside me nudged me. And only then did I realize that my surroundings had changed. No longer the cold, deserted street. The air had become scorching hot, and a layer of sweat was seeping from my back. The thin school uniform clung to her body, sending an uncomfortable sensation against her skin. I'm back in high school. The homeroom teacher stood at the podium, smiling warmly at me. Xiaoyu, you should have done well on the exam. Any schools in mind? Exactly the same problem as in the previous life. I curled the corners of my mouth, putting on a conflicted expression. I want to go to New Oriental to learn cooking, but I also want to go to Lanxiang to drive an excavator. Teacher, which one do you think is better? Upon hearing this, the classroom fell silent. For 3 years of high school, my name had been nailed to the school's honor roll. No one expected me to give this answer. Xiaoyu, have you lost your mind? My desk mate leaned over the desk, looking at me with confusion in their eyes. I looked at the worry on her face and said nothing. How could someone who accompanies me in studying every day and cares about me at all times feel at ease enjoying my life? Wang Yixiami desk teeth anxiety on her face right now was not fake. If we followed what I said, she wouldn't end up with any school to attend either. Do you know how many people don't even have the chance to study? You can't just waste your achievements like this. You need to take responsibility for your own life. Oh, so what? You said it yourself, it's my life. Wang Yixiao had never seen such a cold expression on my face. For a moment, she was stunned, her mouth hanging open, unable to speak for a long time. Enough. I've never seen someone so ungrateful. Was Xiao Xiao wrong? Su Shiai slammed his hand down on my desk, the sound loud enough for the entire classroom to hear. I looked up at his indignant face and suddenly realized something. In my previous life, right after the college entrance exam ended, he confessed to me and stayed by my side during my saddest moments. That's the only reason I stayed with him for so long. But I remember that at the time, I wanted to check, but he kept stopping me. Xiaoyu, it's okay. Sliding down in the college entrance exam is a very normal thing. We'll have other opportunities in the future. But when I filled out my college application, I was extremely confident. After putting down my first choice, I didn't fill in the rest. Under his repeated persuasion day after day, I also came to accept the fact that my application had slipped. I wanted to repeat the year, but Su Shiai stopped me. Xiaoyu, my dad said we can't repeat this year, the authorities are cracking down hard. His dad was my high school homeroom teacher, so I didn't doubt it and gave up on that path. With no school to attend, I had no choice but to enter a factory and wear away my youth on the assembly line. The once slender and fair hands had developed calluses, crisscrossed with wounds of various sizes, due to years of irregular routines. My face had become incredibly weathered, looking several years older than my actual age. During that time, I would wake up startled every night, dreaming that I had been admitted to my dream university. But upon waking, all I could see was the grimy ceiling of my rented room. Reality gave me a harsh slap. Whenever I think of the regret I felt back then, I wish I could slap them a few times. This is a classroom. Su Shiai's. Sit properly. The homeroom teacher shot Su Shiai's a look. His face flushed red, and he stood before me in frustration. Xiaoyu, That's not what I meant. Your grades can take you to broader horizons. He softened his voice, as if he truly had my best interests at heart. The homeroom teacher also smiled warmly as she tried to persuade me. Xiaoyu. This is about your future. You can't be willful. Come to my office after class, and I'll help you think it over. After he finished speaking, they said nothing more to me until class ended. I obediently went to his office. He was sitting in his chair, and a pile of materials was already laid out on the desk. Xiaoyu, these are the materials I've gathered for you. Take a look. They were indeed among the top schools in the country. As I looked at the majors my homeroom teacher had selected for me, a sense of mockery rose in my heart. These were the ideal majors Wang Yixiao once told me about. Thank you, teacher, but I still want to go to New Oriental to learn cooking. The smile on his face was almost impossible to maintain. Yet he still patiently tried to persuade me. Xiaoyu, why are you so obsessed with New Oriental? I sat up straight, a shy expression appearing on my face at just the right moment. My mom said women who can cook are easier to marry off. The homeroom teacher's expression gradually crumbled. Never expecting that this would be my answer, he closed his eyes briefly. I guessed he had already cursed me 100 times in his mind. This way of thinking is dangerous. You should have lofty ideals. Not limit yourself to trivial matters of love. I tilted my head and looked at him with confusion. But, sir, can ideals fill your stomach? Is food the only thing on your mind? The homeroom teacher could no longer hold back, the smile on their face fading. With faint signs of anger, I shrank back, looking as if I was too scared to speak. He let out a breath, picked up the teacup on the table, and took a sip. Go back and think it over carefully. Take these materials with you. After saying that, he waved his hand, unwilling to speak to me any further. Having silenced him for once, I was in a great mood and walked out with the stack of documents that were utterly useless to me. As soon as I stepped out of the office, I heard a sound from the stairwell, a fitful sobbing that sounded exactly like Wang Yixiao. I sidestepped into the corner, straining to listen to the commotion in the stairwell. She suddenly treated me that way today. Does she know something? Wang Yixiao's voice was soft, and now tinged with tears. It was even more heart-wrenching. Su Shiai's pulled her into his arms, gently patting her back, a tender expression on his face. Don't worry, I won't let anything go wrong. When the time comes, I'll hold her off. And you can go ahead and embrace your bright future. After saying this, a hint of ruthlessness appeared in his eyes. A cold sneer curled at my lips. Why should her future be bought with my life? This time, I wouldn't let any of the three off. I shook the paper in my hand, deliberately making a rustling sound. The two immediately separated warily. When they saw me turn the corner, both of them looked a bit nervous, afraid that I might have overheard what they were saying. What are you two doing here? Upon hearing this, both of them breathed a sigh of relief. Su Shiai's walked over to me and put on a smile. Xiaoyu, are you done chatting? Let me walk you back. I glanced at Wang Yixiao beside him. At that moment, she was biting her lip, stealing what she thought was a discreet glance at Su Shiai's. No need. I won't get in the way of your romance. I waved my hand and turned to leave from the other side. Wait, it's not what you think. Su Shiai stepped forward and grabbed my hand. His eyes mixed with complex emotions as he looked at me. He moved too fast. Wang Yixiao stumbled from being pushed aside and shot me a venomous glare. I'll just pretend I didn't see it. She just asked me about my college application choices. We're done talking. I'll walk you back. Wang Yixiao's expression instantly turned aggrieved, and she weakly called out, A's. But Su Shiai's completely ignored her, tilting his head as he waited for my answer. We're not going the same way. There's no need. I clearly remember that Su Shiai's lives in the complete opposite direction from mine. Would take an extra hour to go out of his way. For Wang Yixiao, he's really going all out. But I want to spend a little more time with you. His voice was gentle. If I didn't know better, I would have thought he was interested in me. And now, I could clearly discern the calculation in his eyes. As you clearly said you would be here tonight. You go back first. Wang Yixiao wanted to say something more, but was interrupted by Su Shiai's. I felt impatient inside, but on the surface, I still maintained that gentle demeanor. By the time I walked out of school, the sky was already darkening, and the last ray of sunlight had disappeared below the horizon. Su Shiai's, dressed in a white shirt, actually looked like the male lead of a youth novel. I recall that it was around this time in my past life that we finally confessed our feelings. Sure enough, after walking in silence for a few minutes, Su Shiai's couldn't hold it in any longer. Xiaoyu, actually, I've had my eye on you for a long time. Oh, I was looking down, thinking about the college application, and didn't even pay attention to what he was saying. Then can you give me a chance? He stepped forward and stood in front of me, blocking my way. Only then did I realize what was happening. My nose had already bumped into his chest, aching sharply. No, the expression of certainty on Su Shiai's face hadn't even had time to fade before shock emerged, his features twisting into a grimace. Why? I stepped back, putting some distance between us, and looked him over from head to toe. What about you is worth my affection? Ugly, with grades worse than mine, and as skinny as a bean sprout. Su Shiai's was considered a school heartthrob, and with his father's connections, he had been put on a pedestal all these years. He had never been insulted like this before. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw his hand clenched tightly into a fist at his side, veins bulging, afraid he might snap and throw a punch at me. I silently tensed my body, ready to make a run for it if needed. In the end, he forced himself to endure it, forcing a strained smile. Today was too sudden for you. You don't have to rush to give me an answer. After saying that, without giving me a chance to refuse, he quickly left. Watching his retreating figure, I couldn't help but marvel at the power of love. For Wang Yixiao's sake, he was willing to go to such lengths. I went home on my own, and when I opened the door, it was empty and quiet. My parents have been working away from home for years, and I don't want to bother them with these matters. So in my past life, I never even met them again until I left to work. Even if I told them, it would only add to their worries. Once I've resolved this matter, I can tell them then it's not too late. With this thought in mind, I drifted off to sleep. The next day, the cicadas outside the window chirped endlessly, and I opened my eyes in a wave of heat. Looking at the familiar room, I let out a sigh. Today was the day our class would have our farewell dinner. My phone kept buzzing non-stop. Almost all the messages asking about my relationship with Su Shiai's. I brushed my teeth while feeling puzzled. It was so obvious in the classroom that Su Shiai's was defending Wang Yixiao. So why would anyone still think I had something going on with him? Su Shiai's said it himself. I heard you turned him down. A top student and the school heartthrob. I shipped them so hard. Xiaoyu, why didn't you say yes? I stared at the message on my phone, my face as dark as the bottom of a pot. If I didn't agree, he'd play dirty. Su Shiai's really was just as shameless as his father. Just then, a knock came from outside the door. I opened the door, only to find Su Shiai's standing there with breakfast. A thin layer of sweat glistened on his forehead, and his eyes were full of smiles. Xiaoyu, I bought your favorite soup dumplings. Seeing him like this, a playful urge arose within me. Since he wanted to act, I might as well play along. I pulled a tissue from my pocket and carefully wiped the sweat from his forehead. My gaze shy, as I was impulsive yesterday. After thinking it over, I can give you a chance, but you have to be good to me. Okay. Even I found what I said nauseating, but Su Shiai's seemed to relish it, his eyes lighting up instantly. I almost wondered if his acting was just a little too good. Soon enough, evening arrived. When we appeared together in the private room, everyone's gaze fell on us. I stood awkwardly behind Su Shiai's, taking the chance to catch a glimpse of Wang Yixiao's gritted teeth expression, and couldn't help but curl my lips into a smile. From the moment I sat down, I never once reached for my chopsticks to pick up food. Every time I looked up, Su Shiai's would precisely place a dish into my bowl. He deboned the fish for me, shelled the shrimp for me. Wang Yixiao's face grew increasingly sour, until she finally couldn't take it anymore, threw down her chopsticks, and stormed out. The private room was crowded, and almost no one noticed her actions. But I could see Su Shiai's movements pause for a moment. After a short while, he made an excuse and left the private room. The person next to him immediately leaned in. Xiaoyu, what's going on? Are you really with Su Shiai's? I casually ate the food in my bowl. Pretty much. Oh wow. Impressive. With so many girls in high school, none of them could get him. How did you manage that? I put down my chopsticks and put on a troubled expression. I don't know either. Maybe it's because my grades are good. The guy clearly didn't believe me, thinking I just didn't want to reveal my methods for chasing someone. He turned back. Bored. I propped my chin on my hand. If I didn't have these grades, someone like Su Shiai's probably wouldn't even spare me a second glance. Just as I was lost in thought, the homeroom teacher had somehow drifted over to my side without me noticing. Xiaoyu. I've been your teacher for 3 years, and I know exactly what kind of child you are. Now that the college entrance exam is over, I fully support you and Shiai's. I quickly put on a smile and lightly clinked my glass with his. It's all thanks to Mr. Su's care. The word care was heavily emphasized by me. He sensed something was off but couldn't quite figure it out. But Shiai's grades are good. For the sake of your future, I still think it's better for you to be at the same school. B University's teacher training program is pretty good. And it's the same school as Shiai's choice. Of course I know what he's thinking. As long as they get me to apply to this school, Wang Yixiao can just take my identity and attend classes there. And she can even date Su Shiai's on the side. As for me, I'll only end up working in a factory. I'll give it serious thought. Seeing that I was so cooperative, he didn't say much more, exchanged a few pleasantries with me, and left, taking advantage of the moment when no one was paying attention. I smoothly slipped out of the private room and found the two of them in the hallway near the restroom. Wang Yixiao was leaning against Su Shiai's arms, tears in her eyes, softly accusing him of his behavior over the past few days. Isn't this all for you? If that fool really went to sign up for New Oriental, what would you do then? Be good. Our good days are still ahead. Wang Yixiao felt indignant but could only nod in agreement. Her cheeks flushed. She hugged Su Shiai's arm and rubbed against it. So, tonight, do you want to come to my place? Before she could finish her sentence, Su Shiai stood stiffly, staring at me at the other end of the corridor. The two of them, startled by my sudden appearance, quickly pulled apart. Su Shiai's expression stiffened as he took a few steps in my direction. Xiaoyu, let me explain. I pinched the soft flesh on my waist hard, and tears instantly welled up in my eyes. What did I do wrong to deserve such humiliation from you? After saying that, I covered my mouth and dashed back inside. The college application deadline is tomorrow, so I need to come up with a plan quickly. Su Shiai's watched me leave and followed me all the way to my doorstep. Xiaoyu, listen to Mesh didn't do well on the college entrance exam. And I was just trying to comfort her. I sneered from behind the door, but my words came out choked with tears. Is this how you comfort someone? She was practically clinging to you. Su Shiai spoke rapidly. She grew up with me since childhood. We're like siblings. Hearing this, I felt a wave of disgust. Siblings. More like a sweetheart. If you ask me, it's getting late. I can't be bothered to go back and forth with him. You should head back first. We'll talk about it tomorrow. Su Shiai wanted to try again, but when he saw that I wouldn't budge, he let out a sigh. I know you must feel upset. Just take some time to calm down, and tomorrow we'll fill out the college application together. Okay, I replied in a low voice. The most important thing now was to get him out of the way. The sound of footsteps outside gradually faded away. I cautiously stepped out and only knocked on the door of the uncle upstairs after confirming that Su Shiai had left. The uncle was from the north. He had come to our small southern town only because his wife didn't want to leave their hometown. The couple ran a supermarket in the neighborhood, and the neighbors spoke highly of them, which was why I dared to come. Uncle, enrollment for the college entrance exam ends tomorrow. But I don't have a computer. Can I use yours? The uncle looked fierce, with an unlit cigarette dangling from his mouth. Girl. With something as important as the college entrance exam. Didn't any of your family members come back? I nodded. A day's delay is a day's lost earnings. I don't want my parents to worry about me. The uncle nodded appreciatively. Come on in. I'll have your aunt cook you a bowl of noodles. With that, he stepped aside to let me in. I deftly typed in the URL and filled in my preferences. Wow. H University's cutoff score is no joke. You must have done well on the exam. 711. I'm ranked first in our school. The uncle laughed heartily and gave my shoulder a firm pat. Still. The girl worked hard. My boy back then scored like something terrible. This must be a top scholar. I nodded sheepishly. As he spoke, a steaming bowl of noodles was placed in front of me, and the uncle tilted his chin toward me. Eat up. Your aunt's cooking is unmatched. Look at you, all skin and bones. Without anyone at home. You must not be eating well. As the steam rose, I blinked, holding back the sting. Thank you, uncle and aunt. Half an hour later, full and satisfied, I returned home and fell into a peaceful sleep. The next day, I irritably opened my eyes to the sound of loud knocking on the door. Su Shiai stood at the door with a briefcase in hand, an unmistakable smile on his face. I knew it was because their goal was about to be achieved. Which was why he was in such a good mood. Xiaoyu, I brought a laptop so we can fill out our college applications together. I stood at the door, arms crossed. You should go back. I've already filled in my preferences. His expression instantly fell. But he had no choice but to see the act through. It's fine. Is it B University's English program? I remember you did well in English. My expression was indifferent as I stared into his eyes. Why did you sign up for English? Is it because Wang Yixiao likes English? At the mention of Wang Yixiao's name, a flicker of panic and curiosity passed through Su Shiai's eyes. What does this have to do with Wang Yixiao? Are you still angry at her? I can swear. There's nothing between her and me. You're the only one in my heart. As he spoke, he actually raised 3 fingers to his ear with a serious expression. Watching him put on this act, I silently applauded him in my heart. No wonder he fooled me so badly in my past life. Looking at him now, I have to admit he has some acting skills. Oscar owes him a little gold statue. Want her to go to the university she's been dreaming of under my identity. I said this calmly, and Su Shiai's pupils suddenly contracted, then slowly expanded back to their original size. Xiaoyu. What are you talking about? I don't understand. I've already signed up for computer science. I might have let your expectations down. You don't have to put on an act anymore. We're not connected now. His expression gradually faded, until only a shadow of gloom remained. You already knew. I laughed, full of mockery. Yeah, watching you chase me like dogs is really amusing. But I'm done playing. Give it up. Su Shiai's face flushed red with anger, veins bulging on his forehead. If he weren't holding a laptop, I'd even suspect he'd throw it right at my head. He reached out, and I quickly stepped back, shouting at the top of my lungs. Harassment. Help. The neighbors around all knew me, and many of them had asked me to tutor their kids at home. Naturally, everyone also knew that no one was home at my place, so they all opened their doors at once. Who's there? Xiaoyu. Don't be afraid. Auntie is here. The aunt next door was the first to open her door, still holding a sharp kitchen knife in her hand. Su Shiai saw that the situation was going wrong and turned to run. But the stairwell was already blocked by neighbors who had rushed over. At such a young age and already so shameless. If you don't lose a layer of skin today, don't even think about slipping away from me. In the end, if I hadn't stopped them, the warm-hearted elder ladies and uncles would have dragged Su Shiai to the police station. He tugged at his crumpled clothes and quickly fled the neighborhood. Don't be afraid. If anything happens again, just give a shout. Since old Xiao isn't around, I'm not about to let his daughter get bullied. I smiled and nodded, thanking everyone one by one before returning to my room. During the time waiting for the admission letter, to avoid any unexpected incidents, I stayed at home. The farthest I went was just to the entrance of the residential area. However, everyone around me had already received their admission letters. while mine still showed no sign of arriving. Until I received a message from my classmate. Wang Yixiao got into H University. How did she manage that with her grades? My heart tightened. The thing I worried most about had still happened. After brushing it off with a few random replies, I subconsciously started biting my nails. Good thing I had covered my tracks. I deliberately went to the uncle upstairs to submit my college application. With this thought, I felt a little calmer inside. The supermarket was crowded, and when I walked in crying, everyone's eyes were on me. Uncle wasn't there. Auntie was busy at the checkout counter. Seeing me like this, she quickly pulled me aside. What's wrong, girl? Tell Auntie what happened. She gently wiped away my tears. It was supposed to be just an act. But seeing her reminded me of my mother, and a wave of grievance suddenly surged up. Auntie, I think I've been replaced. The aunt didn't catch on until I explained it to her in between sobs. She took my hand and walked me outside. Come on. Let's report this to the police. How could something like this happen? The police station wasn't far, and we arrived in just a few minutes. Sister, someone took my spot at university. I scored over 700 but never received an admission letter. Yet Wang Yixiao from our class, who only scored 400, was admitted. University H was notoriously difficult to get into. With her score of over 400, it shouldn't have been possible for her to be admitted under any circumstances. Upon hearing this, the police immediately dispatched personnel and found Wang Yixiao at Su Xiai's home. Seeing the police at the door, she fearfully hid behind Su Xiai's. The homeroom teacher was also there. He walked up to the two of them with his hands clasped behind his back. Officer, is there something wrong? The police officer showed his badge and said coldly, someone has reported that Wang Yixiao fraudulently took a university spot by impersonation. We are here to investigate according to procedure. The homeroom teacher's face lit up with sudden realization. Comrade, I am Wang Yixiao's homeroom teacher. I can testify that she is fully capable of getting into H University. Could it be that some other student had an accident with their college application? As she spoke, she turned her gaze toward me. The admission letter is here. Right. Take it out and let's see whether it's my name or Wang Yixiao's name. I pulled Wang Yixiao out from behind Su Xiai's and said to the police. At that moment, the aunt from the supermarket also stepped forward. Comrade police officer, I can testify that Xiao Yu's application for college was completely fine. I have complete surveillance footage at home. I looked up in surprise, never expecting that not only was there a witness, but now there was also physical evidence. Wang Yixiao struggled desperately, and I almost couldn't hold on to her. What right do you have to look at my admission letter? This is an infringement of my rights. The police didn't listen to her and soon found the admission letter from H University at home. When they opened it, my name was clearly written on it, with both witnesses and physical evidence present. They simply couldn't deny it. Wang Yixiao and the homeroom teacher were quickly taken away, and I went along to give a statement. The supermarket can't function without people, and Auntie had already left since there was nothing to do. So when I walked out of the police station, all I saw was Su Xiai's with red-rimmed eyes. You shouldn't have called the police. This is what I owe Xiao Xiao. The last ray of sunlight fell upon the earth, with half of Su Xiai's face hidden in the shadows. So you're going to sacrifice my life? I found it amusing. Wang Yixiao and I were not related by blood, and I had even helped her quite a bit with her studies. Without me, she wouldn't even have been able to reach the undergraduate admission threshold. If you give the spot to her, I'll marry you. And you won't have to live a hard life either. A woman like you, how good can your future be? Following me is much easier than exhausting yourself to death. But in my past life, it was also him who forced me to work day and night in a factory just to make money. Su Xiai's. It's not that you look down on me, look down on all women. We don't have only one way out, which is to stay at home and be the virtuous wife and loving mother you have in mind. The painful experiences of my past life made me tremble uncontrollably as I stared stubbornly at the man before me. I once thought he was my light, accompanying and encouraging me when I was at my most helpless. But in the end, he was one of those who pushed me into the abyss. Wang Yixiao's future should be her own responsibility. I don't know how much Su Xiai's took in, All I know is that I won't repeat the same mistakes. And in 2 months, I will embrace my new life. If it weren't for Xiao Xiao's mother, I would have died long ago. I owe her. So I said I would make it up to her. Su Xiai's eyelids drooped, making it impossible for me to read the emotions within. I spun around sharply and, without hesitation, slapped him across the face. What about me? Did I do something heinous? I worked my hardest to achieve this, and it almost became a gift for someone else. If you really feel guilty, you should switch to your own. My chest kept heaving, and my head was spinning in waves. Sometimes I really can't figure out what he's thinking. He stood still, his head turned to the side by my blow. I don't want to see you again. After saying that, I left the place. With such a big incident, I couldn't hide it even if I wanted to. The next day, my parents flew back from out of town. It had been a long time since we last met, and the two of them couldn't hold back their tears when they saw me. It's our fault for being useless, leaving you to face all this alone. If the neighbor hadn't called us, we wouldn't have known. My heart ached. In my past life, I never got to see my parents even once before I died. Don't worry, I'm fine now, aren't I? Look, I got into H University. The TV station even came to interview me. Pretty impressive, right? They didn't even glance at my admission letter. They just gently stroked my head. Amazing. Our girl is the best. The matter was quickly settled. Wang Yixiao would never be able to take the college entrance exam again in her lifetime. While Su Xiai's father was found to be involved in quite a few scandals, rumored to be facing a few years behind bars, with the stain on Su Xiai's. Several paths ahead of him were blocked off. I, on the other hand, methodically prepared for the start of school. And my parents took advantage of these 2 months to stay home and keep me company. Money can be earned any time. We'll stay home with you these 2 months. Once you leave for school, who knows how long it'll be before we see you again. I was naturally happy. My parents were home. And many things became clearer. It turned out that back then, Su Xiai's was running around on his own and somehow fell into the water. At that time, only Wang Yixiao's mother was there, so she jumped in and pulled him out. But she was too exhausted and was swept away by the current. Since then, the Su family has treated Wang Yixiao like their own daughter, even considering the idea of pairing the two children together. Since both families knew each other well, they felt at ease with the arrangement. However, after such an incident, I wonder if the two of them can still end up together. Before I could come up with an answer, I saw Su Xiai's looking haggard at the entrance of the housing estate. He had long lost the spiritedness he carried a few days ago. Dark circles under his eyes, not even shaved, barely an adult, yet already showing signs of weariness. It seemed the blow from home had been too much, leaving him with no mind to tidy up his own appearance. Xiaoyu, I genuinely liked you before. I didn't move, just stared at him coldly. This matter was like a thorn, something I could never forgive him for. Seeing no reaction from me, he anxiously reached out to grab my shoulders. What I said is all true. Now that my father has been punished, can we just let this go? I dodged his touch with a quick sidestep. Where's Wang Yixiao? I already drove her out. I've wronged you before. Can you give me another chance? Back then, to ensure she could attend university under my name without any issues, Su Xiai's didn't hesitate to use our marriage to tie me down. Now that there are no more obstacles, he no longer likes her. If you could persist in liking Wang Yixiao, I might actually think a bit more highly of you. Upon hearing my words, he furrowed his brows tightly, as if in disapproval. I only see her as a sister. Can you sleep together if she's just a sister? I feel as if I've heard some kind of joke. I clearly remember in my past life, he often went out to mess around with Wang Yixiao while I was on the night shift. I found traces on him more than once. The most outrageous time was when I stumbled upon used condoms at home. But back then, I felt I had married above my station to Su Xiai's, so I just endured it and never made a scene. Thinking about it now is truly disgusting. Hearing me reveal the secrets of the two, Su Xiai's face turned pale and flushed by turns. Just then, a pair of strong hands rested on my shoulder. It was my father. A hint of warning flickered in his eyes. Stay away from my daughter. She's educated and well-mannered. I didn't even finish middle school. So I have no idea what I might do. Su Shiai's ran away in a flustered and disheveled manner. After that, I never saw him again. At the end of August, under my parents' reluctant gazes, I boarded the plane to school. College was even more wonderful than I had imagined. Clubs, student council. I seized every new experience to enrich myself. Like a sponge, I absorbed knowledge with all my might. My teacher valued me highly, and I was granted access to many resources. At the university cafeteria, I ran into a classmate from high school. Even he looked incredulous when he called out to me, "Xiaoyu. It really is you." Meeting a fellow townsman thousands of miles away instantly brings a sense of warmth. That incident you were involved in caused quite a stir back then. The school was even ordered by higher authorities to make reforms. You're something else. As he spoke, he gave me a thumbs up. And I heard that Wang Yixiao couldn't continue her studies and couldn't leave either. So she ended up working in the nightlife scene. He spoke subtly, but I understood. And I couldn't describe the feelings in my heart. But this was just a small interlude. My fellow townsman was named Xiechenyu, and to my surprise, he was also majoring in computer science. Somehow, we hadn't run into each other in a whole year. Time passed quickly. Since we were in the same major and had the same advisor, we soon became close. Drawing on my experience from my previous life, I pulled him into the internet business early on, smoothly riding the first wave of its boom. A year later, Xiechenyu confessed his feelings to me, but I didn't accept. The painful experiences of my past life had caused me to close off my heart. In daily life, I couldn't help but sense his feelings just as everyone says. How could you not feel the heat when standing by a fire? But I couldn't bring myself to respond to him. I just never expected to see Su Shiai's here. When I walked out of the dormitory building, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. University is a place of transformation. Especially for someone who was already good-looking. Now, just standing there, he could draw the attention of a crowd. "Xiaoyu, did you miss me?" He blinked, his expression so natural, as if those embarrassing things had never happened. My face went blank, and for a moment, I didn't know what expression to wear in front of him. Unable to bear the onlookers' gazes, I took him to a milk tea shop outside the school. Mango pomelo sago with half sugar and less ice. "This is it, right?" I nodded. This was indeed my favorite drink. Back then, I said I truly liked you. I knew what you liked to eat and drink. That you bite your nails when you're spacing out, and tug at your hair when you're thinking. "Xiaoyu, we've both matured now. Why not give it a try?" He was more open-minded than I expected. With a glimmer of light in his eyes. "Xiaoyu doesn't like biting her nails because it ruins her manicure. These days, she can only drink hot milk tea." Su Shiai's. You really are a persistent ghost. I don't know when Xiechenyu stood behind me. The atmosphere was far from pleasant. Xiechenyu sat down beside me, casually tossed the cold mango sago on the table into the trash, and replaced it with a warm jasmine milk tea. "Xiechenyu, didn't expect to see you here." I furrowed my brow. "You two know each other?" Upon hearing this, Su Shiai's raised an eyebrow, looking surprised. "In high school, Xiechenyu slipped you a love letter, but I intercepted it. So, even years ago, his intentions had already been far from pure." Xiechenyu didn't seem annoyed at being exposed. Instead, he sat down beside me with a smirk. "If I were you, I wouldn't dare show my face for the rest of my life. Looks like you're just as shameless as your father." His mouth was as venomous as poison. I am afraid one day he'll lick his lips and poison himself to death. In the end, Su Shiai's was so furious his face turned pale. And despite his reluctance, he had no choice but to leave. After Su Shiai's left, Xiechen유's smile faded. With his eyes lowered, he looked so pitiful that one couldn't help but want to comfort him. "Are you not with me because of him? What does he have to do with it?" "I just don't know how to face your feelings." I stirred the milk tea in front of me absent-mindedly, my gaze unable to find a place to settle. Xiechenyu grabbed my hand. His tone unusually serious. Look me in the eyes. Do you really feel nothing? I lifted my head and met his gaze directly. My heart skipped a beat, then began pounding wildly. I don't know what's making you unwilling to accept me, but Xiaoyu, you can't let one bad experience scare you off forever. Scenes from the past flashed before my eyes. The fog in my heart cleared, and I clearly heard the voice within me. I like him. And so, on this ordinary afternoon, I got a boyfriend. I don't know what the future holds. I only know that in this moment, we love each other. Be brave.